Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Sunday morning, at least I think it's Sunday. Yeah, I'm fairly confident it's Sunday. And it's a nice day here in Northern England. So, straight into the Kiely Rodni case. So there's been some developments, not from law enforcement, sadly. People talking to YouTubers and just discussions about the case. I think there's a lot of people, including me, trying to piece things together, which is good. A series of screenshots was posted in my Facebook group, and I've also been scouring Twitter for screenshots and little bits of information, little nuggets of information. Sleuthy Goosey from Twitter posted a picture of Kiely, looks like Kiely to me, sleeping, and saying, where did this come from? Originally, I think it came from Snapchat, because there's this screenshot here that says sleepy. I used to have Snapchat. I used to do Snapchat, and the text that you can put on the screen looks exactly like that. But I don't know, there could be other apps that do that as well, but it looks to me like Snapchat. However, then it looks like someone's posted it on Instagram. Again, this could be another site that just looks like Instagram, but to me, it looks like Instagram. And somebody called Everly and Teb, this person posted this, to send a nice message to Kiely, about Kiely. There's a lot of discussion about this, is she unconscious? Is she dead? No, I don't believe she's dead. I think she's sleeping. It's shades of Summer Wells and the Milk Jugs video kind of came back to me when I saw all of this discussion. Chronicles of Olivia's been doing some good work, and she's been talking to some young women who claim that they were at the party. There was one person who claims to have been there for about half an hour, who saw Kiely, completely wasted. So if you've seen Kiely completely wasted, and you were only there half an hour, it's like people just like popping in. Mags claims that she only stayed 10 minutes. Now, this person claims that they were there at like 11ish. Let's assume that Kiely was really wasted. She'd been drinking, perhaps smoking marijuana. That's not a great combination, guys. Each one of those, in moderation, isn't going to render someone unconscious, but in combination, it's not a good one. Few times that I've tried marijuana, and it isn't very often, and it's a long time ago. Usually, I'd been drinking, and I haven't drunk alcohol for years and years and years. I'm going back a long time. But even a small ingestion of marijuana when I'd been drinking made me faint. And I would only ever ingest marijuana if I knew I was in a very safe place where my friends knew that I'm a fainter. I just faint. I've got low blood pressure, like naturally low blood pressure. So anything that lowers my blood pressure even further, it's not a good combo. It only takes a very small amount, a relatively small amount of alcohol for me, and a very small amount of marijuana, and I faint. And I'm not, it's not just a one-off. It's pretty much every single time. And it's not very often, and it's years and years and years ago. I stopped doing it because I knew. And it was, the friends that knew me well, had seen it before, were fine. They just like put me in a recovery position. And where is she going? She's been walking very nicely next to me for most of the walk. And there is someone up there somewhere. Yeah, it would take a very small amount. Now, I had no tolerance to alcohol because I've never been a big drinker. Never drunk at home. I'd kind of only drink socially, and I'm not a very sociable person, I've got to say. It is possible, that Kiely was really suffering. And it can happen very quickly. This is the thing. It can happen very quickly. I'd be out for I don't know how long. And sometimes I'd faint, and then I'd actually be conscious that I could hear people, but I couldn't move, couldn't make my body move. One time I fainted. I was carried to someone's couch, and I was dreaming. I remember I'd literally just fainted, and I was dreaming that I was flying, and it was someone carrying me to the couch. And then the next thing I remember was waking up the next morning. You know, just falling into natural sleep. Other times, maybe once or twice, I've fainted and I've come round relatively quickly, but still been kind of very groggy and weird. It's a long time ago, but I remember these occasions very distinctly. And like I said, I just stopped doing it. Stopped doing it. Didn't need it. Didn't need it to be sociable. No, not for me. Not for me. Not for my body. And surely I'm not the only person that happens to. I'm sure that my biochemistry isn't completely unique in the world, even though I'm a fainter. I'm sure my biochemistry isn't unique. So make of that what you will. Was Kiely, let's say she'd been drinking. She got to the party about 10ish, we've heard from her friends. You know, she arrived with Mags. Mags left after 10 minutes, after kind of some men approached her. But I think she was there just to meet her boyfriend anyway. But Sammy says, you know, in the discussion with All American Dream Chaser, that her and Kiely were together, they were sharing drinks, they were apart for mere moments, in Sammy's own words. I kind of don't believe that. I don't believe that. But Sammy says that they went back to Kiely's car. And I wholly believe, and I've said this before, that the beginning of what happened that ended so tragically began in that car. I truly believe that. Now, you can hazard a guess as to exactly what that might be. I've argued that perhaps the friends were male, not female, and Sammy left with a male, and after which time she wasn't really interested in Kiely. I have heard, and this was on Chronicles of Olivia, I cannot vouch for the accuracy. These screenshots I'm showing could be made up, could be lies, but maybe they're not. And apparently Sammy left with someone called Mr. Anderson. So who is that guy? Who is that guy? If Sammy is involved in this, if Sammy's got any involvement whatsoever, she did a clever thing. I mean, you can argue that it was a clever thing. It was either a really clever thing or a really dumb thing. And I switched between the two because it's put a lot of heat on her from social media, coming out and talking, and I think that's because she just could not keep her story straight. But if Sammy's involved, she has given herself a defence. I've said this before. She's given herself a defence because her DNA and her fingerprints will be on any piece of a can or cup that could be found with Kiely's DNA on it, Kiely's car, Kiely herself. You know, it's a party, they might kind of sit closer together, they might hug their friends, hold their hand, you know, that kind of thing. So Sammy's done a clever thing in that regard, if she is involved. But if she genuinely left with Mr. Anderson, and the only thing she's guilty of is leaving her friend, knows her friend's wasted, and leaves her friend at a party that she herself says she felt overwhelmed by, if that's the only thing she did, well, she's going to regret that for the rest of her life. Being in this car and charging their phones had to be around 11:30. Kiely's mother said she texted her at around 11:30. saying that she was going to be, 15 minutes late, just 15 minutes. Now, what if she texted her mother with the intention, absolute intention of going home? She'd had some drink and they smoked some marijuana in that car. What if Kiely had a reaction like I did? And this is where Sammy's story comes from, about Kiely being too wasted to drive her home. And it would only take a small amount of marijuana, very small amount of marijuana, to have that effect on Kiely, who was previous to this was tipsy, was merry, perhaps would have been too drunk to drive, but still very capable of making decisions, capable of texting her mother. But that small amount of marijuana, if she's anything like me, on top of alcohol, would not be a good combination. And I say this from personal experience. And I can't be the only person that has that effect on. Can't be the only person that it has that effect on. And that would explain why she appeared so wasted. And if the story from Elsa is to be believed, that Kiely fell in a hole, well, I guess anybody can fall in a hole. And what Elsa says is true, that she saw Kiely, she was drunk. Elsa and her friend offered Kiely a lift, but Kiely just felt she was okay. She felt she was okay. And she went to her car alone. What if all of that is true? But what happened next then becomes confusing, because there's two possible things that happened. Either in a tragic accident, Kiely just went the wrong way. I know that Doug from Adventures with Purpose said this is not a wrong turn road, but maybe it is. I've done a video showing the route that she might have taken, whereby she thought she was on the right road. In fact, she turned right instead of turning left. And then the left turn to that hill, and Verna did this journey, that left turn to the hill, she thought was the left turn to go towards the road. I could see how that could be a tragic accident. Now, if what people are saying is true, if it is a seatbelt hanging out of the hatch, does that mean that Kiely's tied down? Possibly. Talked about it yesterday. I've been on the fence about it. It does look like a strap or a belt of some kind hanging out. But the question is, was Kiely tied down? Now, what Nick from Adventures with Purpose said, go and listen to what I said about that from yesterday's video. Sounds like she was floating, like she was on the roof, like her body was on the roof, which would have been the floor of the car. But was she on the roof, on the floor, like floating, because of the natural bloating that occurs after death? Or was it because she was tied to the floor of the hatch? If so, then you can rule out any accident. You can rule it all out. Rule it all out. Now, SF investigates, the private investigator. Now, he says he's never acted as the family's PI. He just got involved in the case because he met them. He met Dad and Grandpa. He started doing his own kind of drone searches and things, and he's been very critical of Adventures with Purpose. He went on Zav Girl's panel, and while I was doing my initial walk from the village, I was listening to it. He's literally just gone off the live as I record this. He's now of the mindset that this was a tragic accident. And I'll have to listen to it again, but I'm sure he said that the FBI have closed the case. I'm going to have to listen to it again. That the case is practically closed and they're just waiting for CHP's report, so California Highway Patrol, like the accident report. And he's seen cones and things set out, and that's the proposed route that was taken by the vehicle and the way it swerved and things. And he said he's not ruling out foul play, as in someone else might have been driving who got out. So it was an accident in that way, someone got out and just isn't saying. Or it could be perhaps she was being chased. Maybe. All of those things are possible. You know, if she was scared and she thought someone was following her, maybe someone was following her. And she went the wrong way because she was scared. She just wasn't thinking. But she was, you know, she was intoxicated as well. That's possible. He thinks Adventures with Purpose did the wrong thing regarding the family. I don't believe they did whatsoever. We know who Laurie and Sally are. I found them on social media. We know that they're relatives of Kylie's stepdad. We know that Kiely considered her stepdad like a father. In one of the postings from the family, they actually say Kylie's two fathers. So I don't know how long Kylie's mother and her stepdad have been together. But if he's kind of brought her up, then he's a dad. And yes, she's got a dad. She's got Daniel. But there's so many families now where people have two dads or two moms. Tilly, come here. Come on, this way. Come on, this way. Come on. Chasing a greyhound. She's never going to win. Never going to win. Back on her lead. We know who the family that Adventures with Purpose contacted were. I'm not concerned about that. I think they did the right thing throughout. I don't know why SF Investigators is so critical towards them, but at least he said on Zav's panel, at least he said that he was grateful that they found her. But he also thinks, just his opinion, that roadside assistance guy seeing Kiely, or someone that looked like Kiely, at Boca Campground, at Boca Reservoir on the Saturday morning, he said that thinks he's mistaken. These kids have been interviewed by the FBI. If this was Jagger and he lied to the FBI, then you know, if that became known, he would have been arrested. And yeah, I think that's true. I do. You know, thinking about it, I've speculated whether it was Jagger. I think, yeah, if they saw the footage and they saw Jagger clearly, I think he would have been arrested. However, I'm absolutely not ruling out. I am not ruling out that this was a staged accident. I'm not ruling that out whatsoever. If that was Kiely on Saturday morning with a young man that maybe she'd spent the night with and then things went wrong, or in a staged accident scenario, what if Kiely passed away for whatever reason, overdose, taking more than marijuana and having a reaction to that, and she passed away and someone panicked, and the idea was to wait a while. They didn't know what to do with her, panicking, went to Boca with the plan of putting her and the car in Boca Reservoir, but then couldn't get the car started and had to call out roadside assistance, panicked some more, and then decided to drive to Prosser. And there's no traffic cameras on this route, and I've done this route before on a video. There's no traffic cameras between Boca and Prosser if you go round the back roads, and they could have had that vehicle in the lake before any search parties went out. I've talked about this in my staged accident video. Go and check out the timeline that I put together there, because that timeline makes absolute sense to me. So yeah, I'm not ruling out that this was a tragic accident, but if this was Kylie's car at Boca and it's two unidentified people, a girl that looks like Kiely, could be any number of blonde-haired girls in California, and a young man. Now, there's plenty of young men, even, you know, the few things we've seen about the party. Lots of young men who look like Jagger. What if there is an investigation going on behind the scenes to identify these two people? What if there is that? And that's why they're holding things back. I've said before, even if they're still waiting on the toxicology, you know, the chances are that toxicology is going to come back where she's alcohol in her system, marijuana in her system. Maybe there's other drugs in her system. Maybe they're waiting for that so they can tie Kiely's death perhaps into some of the arrests they've made in the area recently. Things like fentanyl that are a massive problem. Maybe they're holding it all back for the tox, you know, to see if they can tie it into these fentanyl arrests. Perhaps that's the thing. That's what they're doing. Look, autopsy, preliminary autopsy results are commonly released. This is people who say that they will never give a family or the public, you know, make it public information, a manner and cause of death before tox is wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. You are wrong. I've had it myself, I've done it. I've been there, guys. As I mentioned yesterday's video, when my son was killed, he died on the Sunday. He was autopsied by emergency by a Home Office pathologist on the Monday to rule out murder. And two police officers, two detectives, came to see me on the Monday night and said to me, do you want the preliminary result? Do you want me to read out the report? I said, yeah. I wanted to know everything, every injury, and they concluded that this was a criminal matter. Based on the scene, which they'd only barely processed at that time, and based on the autopsy. But it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks, maybe a little bit longer before the tox report came back, and I got the tox results separately. Now, I could have put that all over social media if I'd chosen. I didn't put anything on social media, but I could have done. I knew who'd done it. He was killed on the Sunday. By the Monday lunchtime, I knew the name of the guy, I knew where he lived, I knew his children's names. I knew everything about him by Monday lunchtime. I found out some stuff the police didn't know, because they got eyes in the sky and ears on the ground. So I don't believe that they couldn't release anything. There's a reason why they're not. There's a reason why they're not. Right? And it doesn't matter that I live in the UK and this is in the US, because Gabby, look at Gabby Petito. The preliminary manner and cause of death. Was it the cause of death that was released first? But it was 2 days. It was 2 days. Go and look it up. It was 2 days. Let's think, you know, is there an investigation going on? Is there an investigation going on to try to tie Kiely's death into these drug arrests? Is there an investigation going on related to Boca, if that was Kiely's car? Or is, as SF Investigates intimated, that wasn't Kiely's car, and roadside assistance guy was genuine, thought it was Kiely's car, thought he'd spoken to Kiely, but it wasn't her car. It was someone else with a silver vehicle that just looked like Kiely's car, and they've ruled it out. What? As I said the other day, why not just tell social media that they've ruled that out? They've no obligation to do so. Maybe the wild theories and speculations suits them for the time being. But maybe they have ruled that out. Maybe they have closed everything down apart from just waiting for the tox report. And they're going to rule this an accidental death. I'm kind of very much expecting now that they will rule this an accidental death. I am. I think that's a very strong possibility that they'll do that, and they'll just close it all down. So there you go. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I've been Michelle. Hope you're well. See you in the next video. It's goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer, who has to hunt around this area. She does this big hunt around here before she'll come to get her lead on. Cassie, come on, this way. Good girl. No. Don't go through there. What you doing? Good girl. Good girl. Eventually.